What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we're going to be heading into the Academy sewers with yi-lin. So this is a map that's pretty short, but still requires a good amount of back and forth movement. Because of that, I think yi-lin actually will do pretty well here. There's also some choice placement of ballista and other traps that you can use here that makes it pretty nice. So that's it. There's probably a couple of things that I can do to make this even better. I don't really need physics here. We can opt for some extra damage. Wall blades are kind of expensive and not really the best. But I do need a second wall trap. I want to use arrow walls. I mean, yeah, that's all right. Let's go for something else that'll control the ceilings. The ceiling space is actually really useful here. You could go for a BGH trap. There's a good amount of bosses that'll be coming out of the gates and mercenaries. Most of it's going to come from up here. But lightning rods will help take care of most of the piecemeal enemies pretty well. But now the discounts really aren't worth it because traps are all over the place. I have 2 fire traps, so the fire one's not too bad. But smashing deals only works for the arrow wall, so I'm going to drop it. And what other trait did we take? With yi-lin, movement speed is good, but I don't have anything that'll really keep me moving too much. Go with making it rain. And for this, we'll go with wall building PhD, just because I don't want to have to worry about barricades, but probably shouldn't be that big of a deal on this map. I don't think there's any firelings or anything super crazy, but that's what we're going to go in with, so let's get it fired up.
The Cloud Tiger Empire must prosper. I must win this battle.
Alright, so usually I like to block that area off to force the enemies go around to where the Guardian is going to be positioned.
Howdy, y'all.
And after that, you can pretty much do whatever you want. There's no long-range locations that really work well back here, but
with these traps, I protect the Empire.
You can do something like that. So we'll burn mostly everything that's coming through here. They'll get hit with some arrow walls too, and then we can also, and let's actually do it this way.
Traps are a great technological advancement.
You make sure that there's a good amount of fire sources going on here.
After much meditation, this placement fits my strategy.
And then we can sort of dust it off with lightning rods. So there's a good amount of damage happening there. I could actually move this back here.
This spot is the most harmonious.
And once we get all of the lightning rods up, then this should actually be very, very solid.
They've broken through a gate.
You will not best me. I am Chonga's champion.
So is there, the dwarf should be dead. There we go. Gets really dangerous sometime if that buff lingers too much.
Are surprisingly easy to grasp.
But that basically should cover most of this here. You'll notice that the satyrs and the like are slowed long enough that you don't really have to worry about anything. However, you do have to beware of these dwarves.
After 1,000 years of stone hibernation, it's good to train them.
The dwarves will buff everything to the point where they're the effective HP is huge, and your traps will not be able to burn through that. The only way to take it out is to kill the dwarves. Now over here...
Yes, that placement is suitable. This
basically
spot
just
is
like to
most
make sure that we
harmonious.
create a giant arrow wall of doom, so to speak.
This trap will kill many minions.
Too many. Need a bit of slow. Okay,
With these
there we go.
traps, I protect the Empire.
So that's not the
Enemies incoming.
area where we want to actually hold most of the enemies, but it will work. Or at least taking care of most of the stuff that spawns, except for these giants. Just keep in mind that with yi-lin, she's actually very bad at fighting on slopes.
Fear me. I am once again.
Alright, and because we made the enemies go near our buddy over there, we should largely be okay. I'll take out most of the stragglers. Okay. Don't know why he wanted to actually turn around and come fight me, but whatever floats your boat, guy. Oh, you can do something similar here.
I consider every trap carefully.
And if I wanted to, I could put some lightning rods in there too. But I should not need to. We're basically just going to let these ride.
You will not escape my soul.
Now, the other side, like I said before, isn't really going to hold up well yet. So you get a few enemies that come through here. Mostly, of course, you expect to see shamans. And whatever enemies they buffed.
I must be
Whoa.
killed soon, or I will fail my mission.
You know what, I actually forgot to double check the equipment here because I'm still holding a Mage's Clover, which does literally nothing.
A boss
I
is
have
on
a
its way.
plan in mind. This trap.
I believe that's Sarge on the other side there.
I need healing. With these traps,
Gonna hop
I
into
protect
our rift.
Empire.
And then we should be able to murder him pretty hard as soon as we get through there. The bleed effect is really what you want versus Sarge and any other. Ooh. Nice. Shoot that just the right way. If you guys are unaware, whenever you're getting fired on by archers or anybody with a tracking projectile, that includes the fire mages, what you'll want to do is change direction at the moment that they fire. They basically calculate your movement and assume that you'll keep moving in that direction. So unless you are running literally into a wall, they're basically going to be able to track and fire until you change direction. So if you change direction at the time that...
An unstable rift is opening. Destroy it.
That's not good. If you change direction at the time that they try to fire on you, you should be great. Okay. Those should be mostly taken out by the Guardian. I have enough time to go down here and slay this.
Come back here.
Gonna take aspect of the tiger and then go back and handle these. Okay, whatever it is, they seem to definitely want to come fight me. Alright, I don't really need to worry too much about what's coming out of here anymore. Whoop, that was not correct.
With these traps, I protect the Empire. The fundamentals of trap placement are surprisingly easy to grasp. When I was a girl, we didn't have traps. We just had weapons.
Okay,
We were glad
so
for them.
with this setup, these guys they should be slowed. They're gonna get burned, and then most of the lightning traps will clean them up as they run through them. Should actually let them move through so that they can sort of gain their chaining ability. They have to fire, I believe, 8 times before it actually takes place. One thing you really do have to be aware of is fire mages. Crap, I tried to sell that and missed it at just the last moment. Fire mages getting buffs from dwarf shamans. That makes them very, very tanky. They do have a good amount of HP normally, but that dwarf shaman buff, it just pretty much guarantees that they're going to be really hard to kill and may get off a fireball. If you're close because you're a melee hero, it could wind up a little dicey, especially if you don't have a ton of HP or the ability to literally just regenerate it on the spot, which is a lot of characters. Like, not too many heroes have enough HP to just tank fireballs, and if you're playing on anything where the difficulty might ramp up, like Chaos Trials, then it could get way, way worse really quickly. I sold the arrow wall, but I didn't make the actual tar trap. Misplacements just keep haunting me. Yeah, y'all can hold that. But yeah, this should actually hold up really well versus most of what's in the game.
I must do what is right for my people.
Oh. If you're using ballista, you can also place a few up there. That works, and can actually do something like that too. Whoa. There again is dwarf shamans, basically giving everything a ton more HP. Effectively. Actually, while I'm here. Alright, now that that's done, put one more right there, and I think we should be alright.
We just had weapons, and we were glad for them. Your attacks are useless.
Even's primary attack range is actually pretty freaking huge. Horizontally, anyway. So they're starting to split here, and that actually makes the arcane bowling ball that we have back here a little bit less useful. Can remedy that like this.
The fundamentals of trap placement are surprisingly easy to grasp.
Now the bouncer bear should only be dangerous if we actually fight next to our barricades. If we move over to the point where he angles himself away from them, you really shouldn't be charging too much. Just be careful that you are not in that pit down there, and you should be alright. Of course, whoa. Barely dodged that one. Alright, let's run through. Jade form. Alright, and he's done. My goal was really just to be beyond this section here when the bouncer bear hit me, so that I wouldn't just get bounced into the death pool down there.
This spot is the most harmonious.
Okay, so we're maxed out on traps. We should be pretty good with what we have, though. I don't expect most things will get through this too well. The only thing that really stands a chance is the satyrs. That's because when you're using arrow walls don't fire at the lowest height very well. There's only a chance for like maybe 1 or 2 shots to hit for short enemies. And that makes it so that arrow walls are actually pretty bad versus small creatures. Size actually matters in that case, and whenever you're fighting a lot of small creatures, things like wall blades or wall chargers should be used. I'll say that even though I'm using the arrow walls, but that's because arrow walls are actually very significantly powerful against large units, like these bears. And that's one of the things I haven't talked about regarding trap selection yet, like how to optimize for damage. I mean, if you're doing combos, you really just want to splash them with as many trap effects at once as possible, But if you're actually trying to deal a lot of damage for purposes of like, you know, trying to maximize your trap damage for endless or something like that, then it would be a good idea to know exactly how to set them up for the most actual damage. Okay. And you can even see it there, like most of these guys are just not getting hit. What's hitting them the most is actually the Floor Scorcher. Which is just another reason that the Floor Scorcher is an amazing trap. Because it's a physics trap, and because it displays the flame in an area, it works against pretty much everything in the game except for fire resistant enemies. And even then, if you hit enough of them, the damage is so much that it actually works. Alright, here's our Swifty. We don't have any BGH traps, so we do have to actually fight him. There we go. Nice. So that map isn't particularly tough with yi-lin, and that's mainly because Tempest Strike is extremely good at taking out batches of runners. If you are stacking them around Viscous Tar, they're going to group up to the point where you can just literally run through them with the Tempest Strike, just like I did there a few times. And that makes it really not hard at all. But next up, we're going to be doing a similar idea with Brass, who doesn't have nearly the mobility of yi-lin. So again, what we're going to have to do there is optimize for her strengths and cover her weaknesses. So we're probably going with some different traps, see the differences in how they work, and we'll be able to move forward from there. Either way, let me know what you guys think of this. If you learned anything, that's great. If you enjoyed this, that's great as well. And as always, until next time, have a good one, folks.